President Carr, Dr. Mooney, Dr. Nevius, what an honor. I should tell you that a lot of my classmates thought my first college degree was honorary. Let me begin with a riddle for today's graduates. What do biscuits and graduation day speeches have in common? The answer is they're both better with a little shortening. So I'm going to be quick today. Let me begin by saying congratulations, class of 2015. And this part's emotional. Congratulations to the grandparents, the parents, the foster parents, to the friends, the families, the spouses of the graduates. You're graduating today too. Congratulations. Sacrifices had to be made to pay bills, to offer encouragement, to let these students know that past generations of family often could not have dreamed of an education at a four-year elite institution like Franklin Pierce. I also want to congratulate the faculty and staff of Franklin Pierce, because through all the changes that this institution has endured over the last few years, you have kept the ship sailing. Staff and faculty, you are graduating too. Congratulations. And allow me a moment to celebrate a friend, President Card, the snow tubing champion. President Card, the Pierce family is so grateful for your leadership. I've heard it since I've been on campus. I heard it before I arrived on campus from phone calls. Your passion, your grace, you have revived Pierce's energy and optimism. Thank you so much, President Card. We all have to support President Card because, you know, Pierce is a daily miracle. I hope all of you, as you graduate, all of you, friends and family, as you celebrate today, understand how precious this school is and work to protect it and to help it grow. Class of 2015, what an adventure the years of your education have been. By the way, Joel and Gina, valedictorians. Wow. I was once a valedictorian. So what if I was homeschooled? Anyway, class of 2015, you know, you think about your years of education. Wow, I mean, you guys have been educated through so much history. 9/11, US wars, recession, global economic shifts. You've also grown up with amazing advances in technology. You're at ease with cell phones, iPads, Twitter, and Facebook. You know, people my age have to ask you how to turn on the TV. It's incredible. The last few years you've gone through really a period of a tremendous economic change in our country. It's all around us, creating anxiety, high unemployment, class divisions, and resentments. At this moment, it would be easy for you, today's graduates, to react with anxiety and fear, even anger. But you, Pierce class of 2015, I think you're bigger than any of those fears. You are loved, admired, you've been nurtured, now you're college graduates. You've met the expectations of your parents, your coaches, your teachers. This is no time for acting out of fear or finger pointing. This is no time for small plans. If you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. This is the time for all of you to go beyond expectations and do the unexpected. Surprise your parents, surprise your friends, surprise your teachers, but most of all, surprise yourselves. Go beyond what makes you comfortable. Open yourself to ideas, events, people. Travel to places you've never visited, places where you know no one. learn another language, create art, argue, have long conversations, read books, all sorts of books. You know, Mark Twain once said that a man who does not read has no advantage over a man who can't read. So be curious. Understand that Pierce has given you the freedom to avoid manipulation by fear. True freedom is being able to avoid the evil that comes from not thinking, from politically correct behavior, from lack of critical thinking. Evil needs to be avoided when it comes from not caring, when it comes from not excelling at whatever you're doing. Most of all, you have to believe that you can do it. If they give you lemons, kids, make lemonade. If you're surrounded by alligators, find out the price of fine handbags, belts, and shoes. You know, when I visited Pierce not long ago, I talked here about civil rights and a book I had written on the civil rights movement. And I noted that I was surprised once I was in South Africa that Nelson Mandela had read this book. It was astounding to me that he had read the book. So I had an opportunity to have conversation with Mr. Mandela, and one of the things that stands with me to this moment is that I said to him, you know, when you were a young person, you must have been a great leader. You must have been someone that others saw as potentially the man that would break apart apartheid in your society. And he began to laugh. And I thought, oh, there's been some cultural miscommunication between me and an American and this South African. And he said, no, I understand you. He said, it's just that when I was a kid, no one thought much of me. He said he left home, he just wanted to go to the big city, wanted to go to Johannesburg, and then he wanted to learn how to be a boxer. And people thought, you know, you're not going to do well at boxing. And he didn't do well, but he loved boxing. And then he wanted to be a poet, and so he started to study poetry and the language of the Dutch settlers, Afrikaner. And then he surprised even his closest friends when he said he wanted to go to law school. He wanted to be a lawyer. And they said, you know, a black man's never going to have any power in South Africa, Nelson. What are you doing? And he went on and he became a lawyer. And then he represented a few clients, and he found that the system was so tortured and wrong-headed that he started to speak out. And pretty soon people who thought, you know, that kid's nobody, he can't speak, they found something powerful in his voice. And the government saw him as a threat, and pretty soon the whole world saw him as a beacon of light and hope in the midst of oppression. As I look back on that time with Mandela, I think, well, that's a young person who surprised himself. He went far beyond what he thought he could do in his life. He really went far beyond any teacher, far beyond his parents. He found that God-given spirit. And this is true for so many people. You think of a kid who comes from a family with no dad and a mom who gambles too much. Well, think about the charisma and the energy of a Bill Clinton. Or you think about a kid who's labeled disabled, has only half a right foot. Well, wouldn't you know it, that kid becomes Tom Dempsey, who kicks the longest field goal in NFL history. Or you think about somebody, maybe a kid from an immigrant family, and they're kind of poor. He's not doing all that well in school, but he has tremendous ambition and discipline, and that kid becomes Colin Powell. Or you think about that blind kid. Nobody thought much of him. All he did was mess around with that harmonica, but he becomes Stevie Wonder. Or you think about a kid who's raised by his grandfather, parents are gone, and the grandfather delivers ice for everyone, and that kid just tags along. But through education, perseverance, that kid becomes Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. So those are examples of what is possible when you let your imagination flower. Surprise your parents, but most of all, class of 2015, surprise yourself. Remember, the only way to have people speak good of you is to do good. The only way to be happy is to make others happy. The only way to be loved is to love. So class of 2015, let the Spirit guide you. Trust yourself. You are Pierce graduates.